Ricky Saints makes his stand, steps in, ring crowd's grand, new face, never bland, Cincy cheering got the upper hand, moves from TNA's past, X Division speed too fast, flips and moves that'll last, in this ring brilliance can the somewhere Jake and Spaz ride, taking you on an NXT pride, Cincinnati's roar can't hide, wrestling dreams all collide.
What's going on, ladies and gents? That's right, Jake, a.k.a. Countdown, ended with you once again with my buddy, my pal, my friend, my partner in crime, the one, the only, the great, going to Elimination Chamber and the SmackDown before,
yeah.
Spaz Phoenix.
What's going on, buddy?
I need one of the Stream Decks so I can get a nice round of applause, like, what's his name? Rich Review Tech.
Hold on, let me do a round of applause.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Love to see everybody there. Juan's in the chat. Juan, I shipped out. I told him his Lita autograph. It's got the certification on the back, but I met her at the mall to get that autograph. My buddy had the same Slipknot shirt as her that day, and she ended up being like, oh, and she started talking to us about it, so we got like a little bit like an extra like hug kind of situation. I think my buddy finished, but well, any of it, you have the autograph now. That's come to you. That's kind of like a thing I've done. I gave people, shirts and autographs out of my collection. It's been fun. So everything's valuable and, sentimental at the same time. So Juan's got that for winning the Royal Rumble Pick'em contest, but we got bigger fish to fry. Wow, what a night. I cannot...
That's no way to talk about Mercedes.
I'm sorry. They're making Mercedes look like a Toyota because this night, the women's division, top-notch. That may have been slightly thought of before because, my God, this has just been knock 'em dead for the women's division. They are excelling like no other. It is absolutely incredible to see. I am, just in awe of what they've given us because... They debuted at the same time so many talents to be viewed on a high level, and they've somehow managed to keep each one of them relevant without cascading or putting a shadow over one another either. There is no top girl right now, and I love that. There's top females, but there's no one. And it's funny because it's not the women's champ like you think it would be, but... Surprise, surprise.
I will say right off the bat, before we get into the actual show, this was brought up over on the Wrestling for Life guys chat that I was watching over there, if I haven't mentioned them 100 times already. Huge conversation going on over there over Julia's the main champ, Stephanie Vaquer's the mid-card champion. A lot of people thinking Stephanie Vaquer is getting a better presentation out of the deal.
Her entrance is incredible, and the way that they have played to each woman's strength so well has been a really refreshing strength of theirs. So
I think her presentation's more intense, and Julia's is a little more natural.
Yes.
So there's not as much bombasticness to it. But
Absolutely.
I think that's what people are seeing versus... is one being presented better than the other. It's just
because I wouldn't
it's
say
a bit of an apples and oranges thing.
Exactly my point. Julia, just because she's the women's champ, she's going to be facing the North American women's champ, and that's incredible. Title for title. When we were going to predict and break that down, that's going to break one of our brains. But everybody is important. Everybody is doing something. Ricky Saints looked like $1 million, like we knew he would. Ethan Paige sold like no other. That brutal kick to Javon, that looked painful at one point. That kid gets his ass beat religiously, it feels like. Sometimes I'm worried
Javon
they do a little...
feels like a computer glitch.
Yes.
Like, it feels... I don't know how to say this in a way that makes actual sense.
You were trying to make a Kofi Kingston creative player, but you ran out of points, and then you have to build him up.
No, I mean, he looks like he's been filmed at a different speed
and how fast he is. Absolutely.
Than the stuff happening around him. Like, and not at a, oh my God, he's faster than, say, Ethan Page, because that's kind of obvious. They have different styles, right? But it looks like he doesn't belong in the scene almost. And I don't mean that in any kind of negative way. I just think you almost have to take half a second and realize what he's doing. Not to mention the fact that everybody else in the match was great. Him and Wesley. I mean, obviously you're going to have Wesley's heavies, and we'll talk about them as we go along. But I could watch Javon Evans and Wesley fight every week.
Absolutely, I could as well. And again, shout out to all you wonderful, sexy Banana Club loving people in the chat. I see Juan in there. I see Liz. I see
Casey
Cody
in there.
Yeah, Casey's in there
Juan.
as well. So
I see Liz.
It's nice to have some familiar faces hanging out. And
Judgment Day, Triple M. Triple M was in way back.
He was the OG of the chat tonight. My buddy, my pal. He was going to take a nap. I don't know if he's up yet, but he'll pop in at some point.
Arturo Gala. Oh, I'm not going to try and pronounce that. I want to be respectful.
Right, but hey, at least you tried.
I'm just going to call you Artie.
That's attempt was made. In the nuts. No, honestly though, it's been a lot of fun. I hear everything coming through great. I was like, I forgot to check the audio, but we're good this time. I triple checked it before. I had to.
The only thing I can't hear is the add-in stuff that you do, and we'll figure that out sooner or later.
You know, after I had that OnlyFans snafu and a few little unfortunate leaks, so never mind.
See, here's the thing though, because we're wrestling fans and we exist in the WWE universe, wouldn't it be like Only Galaxies?
Maybe we could, because it's the universe. Yeah, possibly. You're onto something. You kind of melted my mind there.
Jake lives in the only nebula, and if I was there, I'd have somebody in orbit around me. So, it is what it is.
You made the orbit joke. I was going to say, when I was that big, I don't know if I would have had multiple orbits or just one massive.
Yeah, now you're the skinny fucker.
One. Right?
Now you're the skinny fucker. Fuck off.
Well, not really. I gotta go on like some form of liquid diet. I need to lose a little more weight.
Hey, at least we can both fit in a lift.
That we can.
Just saying.
But I've been there when I couldn't. So I get it.
We've done that. We've done that. We've done the respectful, like, let's not make our problems other people's problems.
Yeah,
thing.
Now, no, fuck off. Your fault. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
God damn him. So
you know what I am gonna say fuck off to before we even get into the show.
Yes.
And I have to maintain fairness when I'm talking about one company, when I talk about another company. Ring level ramps can fuck off.
Oh, I do hate that, and I understand why they had to do it tonight because of the way the seating of the fan. Yeah, the way the seatings for the fans worked. But I'm not trying to poo-poo on AEW, but unfortunately, this is how it's going to come across twice. And
it's a direct comparison, yeah.
But they were just there not long ago, and the way they filmed it, it looked like one small section. You looked like people were hanging off the rafters, and everything else looked dead. Tonight, there was not, even the way they had the fans at the entrance ramp, I thought was really cool. Like, they were right lined up with the screen. So when the wrestlers came through, the talent had this walkway to go. And it was just a really cool thing to see. I like the layout. Like you said, I'm not a fan. WCW, that ramp to the ring, I never was a fan of it.
There was various times when they were still calling the Performance Center the CWC, where they would have it normally, and then they changed it if it was like a pay-per-view, like that made it special, and I'm like, just leave it. Leave it where it is. It's fine.
What kills me is that a lot of people were introduced, and I spoke to Juan about this earlier, and a few people actually, were introduced to Stephanie Vaquer with the Forbidden Door show against Mercedes. And everyone admits that
myself included,
she outshined Mercedes. She made her look like a joke, and that's why she got hired post that match. She immediately caught WWE's attention by doing how well she did in that match. They're like, we got to get her before they keep her. And
exactly, and then you got Mercedes Moné is like, I made her, and that's why they WWE. It's like, no, you didn't.
I had always seen highlights.
She proved what a great carrier she was in that match.
Exactly, I had always seen highlights and never full matches. It was always like the middle, the crescendo, the end kind of thing, because it was for AAA or whatever Lucha Libre Mexican promotion.
I hadn't seen a bit. I hadn't seen a single bit. It's another one of those things. Again, we get back to the fairness thing. We dunk a lot on AEW, but I can never say AEW never introduced me to anybody. AEW introduced me to Darby Allin. I had heard of like somebody like a Will Ospreay, but I hadn't actually seen him till till AEW came to Toronto with Forbidden Door, and I saw Omega and Ospreay. I already said Darby. Ricky Starks, Ricky Saints, who we've got now in NXT because he's seeing the light. But Stephanie Vaquer, Willow Nightingale, all the other women that are being absolutely wasted in that company. A lot of them were introduced to me by AEW, and then I've said, where did they go?
My last little thing I wanted to bring up, and then I have a question or moment for you, sir, and then we'll get into the review. Excuse me for my froggy voice tonight. I think everybody's either a touch sick, a touch gay, or a touch forget to swallow. Whatever it was, it's something. So excuse me. I'm trying to mute myself as I die a little bit here.
I got to get down to the Dome on Saturday. Don't make me sick. Don't give me a virus.
That's what we're going to get into, so you lucky son of a bitch.
I don't care if it's the best virus. I don't care how fantastic it is.
My mother had checked in earlier today, and she's like, "Oh, how's everything going? Are you going to go live tonight still?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, Spaz is a son of a bitch," and she was like, "Oh no, what happened?" And I was like, "Oh, he's going to the Dome." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, Toronto." She's like, "Oh, now I get it." And I was like, "Yeah, he just keeps getting elevated as far as that card goes." So we'll come right back to that point. But I was there not as a gloat point, but I was so in the moment, like out of body kind of experience to see Paige come back after being retired at Saraya. Oh my God, I'm there in person. Like this is the person that really started a real movement with NXT and the anti-diva and give divas a chance. Like she's going to save the women's division of AEW. And then they handled her so piss poor. They didn't give her a chance to like work the ring dust off, and the rust and get kind of the heebie-jeebies out. Instead, they tried to go right from 0 to 1,000, and the match with Britt was not good. And then from there, it was kind of like nothing until I think she won the title at Wembley just because her family was there and possibly held Tony up at gunpoint to do so.
Jesus,
that's not been corroborated, but. I mean, come on, we all know, they're gonna be doing something, but no, honestly, it's just been so disappointing because where is she? She's another one that. When's the last time we've seen her do anything? It really is heartbreaking, and that's why I'm excited to see where Alexa Bliss kind of goes from here. People that I enjoy are coming back. It's nice. Jordynne Grace is finally part of the company. Like the people that I'm really. The one thing I
will say before we get on to all the positives, because I love Paige. Well, Paige, Saraya, whatever you want to call her, and we forget the first two women to fight for the first ever NXT Women's Championship were her and Emma Tennille Dashwood, and it gets cast by the wayside when we talk about in general like the revolution, evolution, whatever other words you want to use. But every time I mention like where the hell is Saraya, like what are they doing with her, like is she taking a break or whatever, every time I get some kind of response that comes back to, oh well, AEW wants to do like her and Mercedes, and I'm like, no, because that's really like wrestling can imitate wrestling can imitate real life, but that's really fucking gross because like she should win that.
They know where they're going with it.
She should win that, and she won't.
Yeah, no. So, and there's a lot with it, and unfortunately, it's just been a lot to grin and bear with their roster. Yep. So I'm not tired of them yet saying the best women's division in all of the world, because they're not wrong and they're backing it up.
Yeah, let them keep saying it. It is true.
It's true. So they can tout it as loud as they want. I just don't want them to get comfortable with it, if that makes sense. I don't want it to become you're hearing it and you're like, it's normalized. I want it to mean something because TNA, it cannot be forgotten. The way they treat their women is stellar. I'm looking forward again to Impact this week. I mean, the live show last week was a lot of fun. Yep. Their women's tag champs actually have matches. I mean, yes, we just got new women's champs on Raw. But still, it was kind of like those belts were forgotten about for a bit. Then they come back, and then they don't book them for a while, and so at least we're seeing that.
They were gone for a while, and like, sorry to get on my high horse, guys. I'm having a shitty week, so you might get more rants from me than usual. Tune in for the Chamber.
Lay it out, buddy.
Tomorrow. Like, you killed the belts by not acknowledging them for a little while, and then you put the belts on two women that socially aren't going to lose.
Absolutely. There's
just not.
It's a hell of a situation to be stuck in. It's a corner they booked themselves into. So my question to you:
there's a tag match coming up next week on NXT that I would rather see for those tag titles. No disrespect to Raquel and Liv, who just became the champions, but I'm jumping ahead here. But we're getting Sol and Zarya versus Piper Niven and Chelsea Green next week.
So that's going to be a ton of fun. I think
yeah.
From what I heard, I don't know for sure, but it's either going to be Stand and Deliver or like the first night of Mania. Again, rumor here say not take it with a grain of salt, but you're going to get Sol, Ruka, and Zarya taking on Raquel and Liv Morgan for the women's tag titles.
Really?
Yeah.
I had not heard that, but
I love that.
Go.
If that is certified truth, I could not be more ecstatic. Again, you hear a lot of conjecture and for a couple of the sources that I read this on today, it was like it's being considered and something that they're weighing heavily on. And when they said Sunday, when this was being discussed, and they're like, oh, it would be against Liv, they didn't even have the titles yet. So a lot of people were like, oh, this is BS. But then they won the next night, so then they went back and they're like, oh, I guess this person was right kind of idea. So we'll see what comes of it, but I'm excited at just the possibility, right?
Without discounting the other two women involved, Liv Morgan and Sol Ruka is an interesting match that I hadn't considered.
There's a lot to that, and then Raquel and Zarya, it makes sense. The two titans going head to head, like this match just screams oi 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 or WrestleMania. Either way, I want to see these girls on a big stage in front of a lot of fucking people. I want to hear the crowd roar. Speaking of,
I want to be nice to her because I know she's been through a hard time personally, medically, et cetera, et cetera. Raquel Rodriguez does not grab my attention as much as she used to.
She's Play-Doh right now. She just is a blank slate. You know what I mean? She hasn't been molded at all. She's a bodyguard. But how would you describe her to anybody? Besides attributes, like there's no personality to her at all.
She's hired.
She doesn't even have a catchprise, does she? She's
hired muscle, and she doesn't do anything outside.
Does anyone know her finisher for 5,000 imaginary?
It's the Tahana Bomb, but like
no, but what she calls
generic.
It.
Yeah, it's the Tahana Bomb.
Oh,
I think
is that
she's
what she
the one that called it that.
Okay, all right.
Because it used to be the
Chingona
Bomb, but apparently that's a slur of some description.
I was going to say, God, are you saying some Ching Chong type stuff? I was making sure we're not going to get in trouble here.
I don't want a virus. It's okay. Do not want.
You saw the New York Post article I sent you about they confirmed that it did come from a lab, and then they tried to leak another version of it, and it was like, dear God, you made people go to jail saying that was like hearsay and
Jake, the real world sucks. I don't think this is the podcast.
That it is not. So this is why, again, I'll make this transition work. Yeah. I'm excited to see what you see Friday, Saturday. You're going to be at SmackDown. You're going to be at the Chamber. You're going to be feeding me some live feeds. I can't wait. I'll be throwing those up from Spaz. I will be here live for the Chamber review. I might have company in person. I don't know yet. Got to see what happens. If not, we'll see who comes to play co-host of the day. But we'll discuss it. But what are you most looking forward to this weekend? What are you thinking? Like, give us your little sales pitch for Toronto in the Dome.
I'm looking forward to SmackDown because Scotiabank Arena. Like, I'm looking forward to both shows for opposite reasons, right? Skydome, I haven't been there in 23 years. We've done this here. We've done this on my channel. The other side of the coin, when they finally gave in and let us know that there was going to be a SmackDown there as well, it's obviously going to be in Scotiabank where they typically do the shows. And I've been to so many shows at Scotiabank now that it feels familiar. Like, I don't...
Absolutely.
I guess people say this about more famous buildings like Madison Square Garden and stuff like that, but it feels like home. Scotiabank for a WWE show kind of feels like home.
No,
I'm going to be going there
wrong.
for SmackDown. We got another rematch. There's only 2 matches announced for SmackDown that I can recall off the top of my head. One of them is another Shinsuke LA Knight match. And it's like, okay, we've seen the match 100 times, but I haven't seen it live yet. I haven't seen Shinsuke's
should be damn good live. I mean, he's always impressive being Nakamura. And
there is a
Knight,
rumor.
He's a
there is a
card.
rumor. There is a rumor circulating because Nick Aldis said he was going to find a suitable opponent for Chelsea Green.
Yes.
Potentially for the Women's United States Championship. They haven't really confirmed that, but there's a rumor circulating that surprise opponent might be Gail Kim.
I had heard that as well, and that's really interesting. I mean, that's certainly what you'll see for SmackDown, so we'll see what happens with that.
There's
hot damn.
There's all the... I mean, I'm going to see Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, and The Rock in the same night in the Sky Dome. And it's
you
and
Liz,
awesome.
like, you both bought into the pay-per-views not knowing, like, Bad Blood could have been a total farce in the Chamber. Come on, a lot of Chambers have not been that great. But guys both got stellar stacked shows. Like,
I have to say this, though. It is... I mean, the matches are going to be great. For me, I was like, I'm going to buy a ticket to the Chamber because I've never been to the Chamber. Like, I saw Money in the Bank in Toronto last year. I've been to WrestleMania. I've been to Survivor Series. I've been to SummerSlam. The only one I haven't been to as of the end of this weekend is a Royal Rumble, and I don't think we're going to get a Royal Rumble in Toronto, which is unfortunate. But
I get that.
So it's one of those, like, when you're live, everything's kind of good. Like, if I'd been there at the show tonight, even if the Hardys had, like, botched and totally stunk up the joint, I still want to be there for a Hardys entrance.
Absolutely. The Hardys, seeing them live, I mean, you still get the feel.
When Collision and Forbidden Door came, yeah, it was AEW. But, like, I'm going to go watch CM Punk wrestle. It's going to be CM Punk. Because the problem was, because he had been gone for so long, and I couldn't remember if I had ever seen him live. And then he came out for the Wicked 4-on-4 match on Collision, and then the match the next night as part of Forbidden Door. Like, I don't eat pizza, so the analogy doesn't really work. But the way that pizzas say, like, even bad pizza is still kind of good.
Yeah.
Even bad live wrestling is still kind of good.
No matter what, you're going to be entertained. But you're having, like, 2 knockout weekends. And no, I agree down here. Absolutely. You know, we're not talking bad about Liv, but Raquel, there's nothing there. Liv has personality, but I think the Judgment Day needs to break up. Liv and Raquel need to go their own way. Finn needs to do his own thing. Dom can do Dom stuff, whatever that might be, some heel work. Maybe he should go for, like, the U.S. title.
They've come back
SmackDown,
around for me. Like, it was getting old, it was getting lame, it was getting childish, and then the childishness came back around and was good again. Like, when they were all fighting in the back and Dom's going one way and he's following his girl and things over here, and Finn, and then Carlito makes it right now because Carlito's just the last person in the room. Ooh,
he's just very subtle. Yeah, he just walks in and just, like, gets excited. So it works to see him.
There's a growing thing online, and I don't know where it started. A lot of people want to see Carlito versus Penta. Yes. And I don't know why. Like,
I think that would be a fun match.
I'm not saying it would be a good match. I'm just saying I don't know where the groundswell for that particular match came from.
Yeah,
because
he's
certainly involved in other things. Hey, shout out to Ludwig Kaiser for picking up a match on Raw.
I know, that was a very damn good match. That triple threat was a lot of fun to watch, and especially knowing that Giovanni, is no longer there, seeing what they took of it. So, you guys, later this week, as again tomorrow, we will have our Chamber preview recorded. It should be out tomorrow night or Thursday morning. In that time frame, that'll be up on the Spaz Phoenix YouTube channel. Links in the description box down below. Then you can go ahead and, like I said, I will be live for the Chamber review. As soon as it goes off the air, I will be going live. And we'll see who's going to be joining for the night. But I'm going to try and wrangle in a few different people, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how the audio plays.
Anybody that doesn't already follow me on X, it's at Spaz Phoenix, or if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's the same thing. I'm going to try and throw up whatever video content I can from the Dome. It's on the graphic thing. I don't know which way to point. It's fine.
Right.
I'll be throwing some stuff up. I'll be throwing some stuff over to Jake as well, and to see if he can use it for his live review with whoever decides to fill my shoes for the night. I take a size 11, so
big shoes to fill, sir. But speaking of
big shoes
to fill,
socks.
The Brady Music Center, for as small as it is, do you have the numbers for seating tonight? I don't know. Don't go crazy, but usually you're the one with the...
Talk for a second.
Yeah, so they were live in Cincinnati, obviously, Ohio, at the Brady Music Center. And as I said before, AEW was just there, so I wanted to see how the production would be different. And they kind of changed a little bit where the hard cam was by just a slight angle.
Heartbreaking, Jake.
Oh, God.
Heartbreaking.
Tease me.
It wasn't quite a sellout.
Oh.
There were 19 tickets left.
Can you imagine? Like people will shit on them for that. 19 becomes the new
so
thing.
It wasn't the full 1403 that they set up for. It was 1384.
And it won't this be the 19th week that they'll be if they beat AEW in the ratings? That I think so. That's kind of funny. That I
don't know. I kind of stopped counting when it became that predictable.
But what was the overall number again?
Made me put down my phone.
I'm sorry, my brain heard it and then it went.
Okay.
Blah, blah, blah,
no, it was set up for 1403, which is a really specific number, and what they sold was 1384.
So they had just about 14K in that building plus staff and whatnot. I mean, it was loud. The receptions they got. I mean, and you heard the commentators admit it when certain people were out there. They're like, "This is deafening. We can't even hear each other."
It is another place. I joke around about the ramp because I don't know why the ring level thing bothers me, but it does. So I got to be fair. It's another case of a place where it feels like they were very claustrophobic around the ring. But I mean, if they're doing that to get more people in, then it is what it is.
Yeah. And hey, if it works, it works. But
long as nobody's getting hurt or misjudging their stuff.
I was not thrilled, honestly, with the ring to the ramp, but I see why they had to do it. I see what they went for. And besides that, that was the only complaint I had tonight. I don't want to sound like the NXT Globe, but this was a damn good show from top to bottom. They started off strong. I love Stephanie Vaquer, her presentation, her entrance, the look, the move set. I know they hate that terminology at this point in time, but I have to say
you're not allowed to say move set, I hear.
With her, she's been incredible, and every match she's been in has been stellar. There has not been one match where you're like, oh, okay, like it's just in the motions of wrestling. Like, no, everything has been a fight and come down to tenacity and strength and history and knowledge of
Carmen kind of turning up the heel edge a bit this week.
A little bit.
She's kind of been like her and Ashante, which is kind of like a low key thing that they're not beating us over the head with, which is kind of cool. Like he's just literally like right out of a high school drama, like just there supporting his girl, but like they're kind of obnoxious.
But it works.
He's dressing a bit like the bounty hunter out there now. Nobody really understands what's going on. Her turning up the Healy stuff a little bit, them being like the obnoxious, like I say, high school jock couple a little bit, but without being totally out of left field. They did a really good job to try and make you forget the feeling that I had going in, which was she's there to give Stephanie an opponent so that Stephanie can be out there for whatever's coming next.
And you nailed that. And so right away they do this
they
grappling.
That the whole time.
They did the chain wrestling, which led to them each getting their own successive pin attempt, and one after the other. And it was just like this rapid fire, fast-paced set from the very start. And then you get the big shoulder tackle and then that crucifix bomb. And there was a few moments where like Petrovic was able to come back and look strong. Like that DDT, that was like, oh Christ, I don't know if she's going to kick out, but she did. Petrovic had some strength left, and then she hit her again with the super kick and the 619, and she still was able to hold with it for a little bit, but not much longer. She was about to get hit with her finish. What is it, the rolling Sobat or whatever? And she got the dragon screw into the shoulder breaker there. I love, however you want to call it, that her finisher. I love it. Gets the pinfall, but as you said, there's more afoot. Julia comes out. She's there to say congratulations, and then she says, you call yourself the best champion, but you're not. I am. And then Stephanie kind of retorted saying, La Primera means champion of champions. And she basically said that, you think I'm friends with you, but I want title for title, champion versus champion. And later in the night, it was announced. So at Roadblock, one of the matches we're getting 2 weeks away, my friend, which will be live to review. It's going to be one hell of a show. That's taking place on March 11th. However, the three matches.
Square Garden, kind of.
What is it? The
theater.
The theater. I keep wanting to say the arena. I don't know why, but yeah, the theater. The three matches they have announced so far, I am so titillatingly excited for. Like, goddamn, get me a banana, call me done, because I'm wet and wild, buddy. We got Julia and Stephanie, title for title. I don't even want to start talking predictions yet, because you and I, that's going to be broken down to a podcast itself.
I got a feeling, right? And I kind of have to sort of wrap this into something that happened later on in the show when we had Jordynne Grace's basically like introduction promo, for lack of a better term. Like,
yeah, I would call it that.
I'm actually here now. I'm actually grabbing a mic for the first time.
I have arrived.
Yeah. So I didn't think of it until she was cutting her promo. Jordynne Grace heel turn. Because there's a lot. I want to see the match, obviously, Julia Stephanie. There's a lot that doesn't make sense about it as of now. Being title for title, you've got so many women and 2 titles. You're not going to put the same woman with 2 titles, so, I don't think. Also, if they were doing this match for real, it would be at Stand and Deliver, oi, oi, oi. Like, if they were doing something that massive, title for title, etc.
I'm smelling a Dusty type finish. You know, they're gonna have a DQ or something.
I think we get a hell of a match out of these 2 to wet our whistle, to show what they can do to set up a rematch. That Stand and Deliver.
Jordynne Grace breaks up at the end, or I don't know. There's quite a few women that you could throw at that. So Roxanne, even though she's in the chamber, she could get pissed about being eliminated at the chamber and maybe take it out on somebody.
I think the match ends because Jordynne Grace comes in and plows both of them.
That is probably what's likely going to happen. I guess Liz was just saying in the chat, the Hardy Boys were giving props to Fraxium, but they're saying, make it clear, we're going to go ahead and be the best tag team in the world. And hold on, we'll play a little of this audio. We'll see.
Back at NXT,
I won't be able to hear it, but okay.
On live television, it was an absolute honor, an absolute blast.
He said it's an absolute honor, absolute blast. They give props to Fraxium, and they just said they're the best tag team in the world. So I am excited. This was...
Well, they're the best tag team in this universe.
Right? Well, in half of this universe. So I didn't think Carmen looked rough at all. I thought she was impressive tonight. This was one of her better showings, and I really thought Stephanie brought out the best in her. She gave her some moments to shine. She got some good near falls.
I do like in her entrance, because normally she's got a little bit more space to do her... I know there's another word for it, but like the sword play thing that she does as part of her entrance, where she normally has a bit of a wider stance, but they pulled the camera to her from the graphic, and it's her trying to make it work in that narrow aisleway that they had.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, we don't want to have an Undertaker's pyro situation with those swords. Even though I'm sure they're fake and not actually sharp or anything like that, you don't want to be clocking somebody. Gunther hit a kid with his jacket the other day.
That was priceless. Speaking of swords, I want to bring this up to you really quick. What the hell happened to gaming, man? It really just perturbs me and burns my ass. Nerd culture has gone south. I will play the new Call of Duty every now and again with Danny, and her and I will tear it up. And they have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle like crossover right now. Okay. So my 5-year-old child heart is burning with nostalgia, and I'm like, oh, let's check it out. And they want $25 for each turtle.
Oh my.
And really, what is that different? Because they're just a different color band. I mean, but I guess they have different voice lines, different mannerisms. They each act different ways, and they really animated them well. But it's basically $100 to play as the 4 turtles if you buy them all. And I'm like, we used to that's a game and a half at most times. It's just shocking. And the reason I bring that fact up is that WWE is going up in merchandising. Apparently, their prices are going to be increasing according to Fanatics. So when you see deals, that'll still apply. But overall, apparently the store is going to be increasing anywhere from like 5 to 10% on all items. Apparently, they're going to start factoring in the cost of other shipping things that they weren't factoring in before. So
they fast-tracked a Hardy's NXT shirt that I showed you earlier, and not saying I bought it, but I definitely bought it.
Exactly, Triple M. I got to get back into Destiny, but at least that, you could just kind of play for free so your heart's content. If you get the main stuff, you're good.
I'm not the one to have a gamer conversation with, because
but my reason is that you and I are both tired of WWE touting about biggest gate. I don't want to hear any more biggest gate, because it just means we're charging you more and more. And if
you go to a venue like you had tonight and tell me you had the biggest gate of anything, I'm gonna think that's a negative at that point.
I'm such a child with my juice box, but still. I go ahead and they should make these for adults, like actual little like Capri Suns, but just straight
with like wine in them or something.
No wine, just straight vodka, maybe like with a twist of lemon. You got to really make it a kid's drink.
So vodka and Sunny D, do it up.
Right. So we go ahead and I've not ever been to Mania. You have. That's on my bucket list. So I was just pretending that I was already living in Vegas. How much would it cost for tickets? Oh my God! For one ticket, it was $752. Was the cheapest I could find at this point in time, and I was like, "Oh my God!" So next year, I was like, "Oh, it's not that far. New Orleans, maybe I could." And then already looking into what they're doing for packages, like if you want to sit next to for 10 minutes Hulk Hogan, and then he signs an autograph. I don't know if he takes a picture or not. They didn't specify. It's $10,000. And you only get to go one of the nights of Mania. It's $10,000 each night. So basically the greed since being brought in by TKO, we had a news report today that the WWE staff, the morale is at an all-time low. The talent, the wrestlers are super happy with all the changes, but the actual staff is having more duties. They're working harder, and they're getting less benefits. They're not getting free tickets like they were before. Even the roster is not getting free tickets anymore. They have to pay for their families to go most times. They're being sent links to purchase tickets at like a discount. So yikes. But I guess the staff themselves feel overworked and underappreciated and undervalued. So that's upsetting to hear. Hopefully that changes. But TKO's side of things is very formulaic and kind of, very corporate. So I don't know how that's going to work. But at least the creative side and the talent side is flourishing, I guess.
Yep. Well, then the roster is like we talk about the last couple of weeks, the releases that came, and a lot of them were a bummer and all that kind of thing. But at the same time, you can't keep getting excited for, we might be getting Aleister Black. We've got Ricky Saints. We've got Jordynne Grace. We've got Julia Stephanie Vaquer.
Exactly.
And think that it's a limitless balloon. Like, I don't want to talk about like trading human beings, but like I'm not, you know where I'm going with that.
Exactly. And Triple M live in the chat now. Like I said before, also shout out to Trekopedia in there.
Hey, Trek.
We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. You got the notifications, and make sure you're subscribed to the Spaz Phoenix YouTube channel, because we're going to continue to break down everything with Elimination Chamber and throw in a little bit of NXT in there, because especially Roxanne Perez. But moving forward, we had Lexus King come out. He's the hometown boy, even though he's essentially still a heel. He's on that like threshold of it. Yeah. With how he handled getting the cup and all of that, he won through nefarious means several times.
He was face tonight, man. He was wrestling like
for the
a face
hometown
tonight.
guy. Well, you know what? Moose is a heel with the system, yes, but they didn't do the typical heel versus heel. Moose heard the reaction and Moose sold enough for him to make him also. Made him in peril as well, to make him be like, oh God, I have to be the underdog and escape this big beast, and I have to conquer him. The crowd started to give him support, like, come on, you can do this. Like, they really got behind him. So when they do flip that switch, this guy's gonna be a real face machine, like a opposite of the heat magnet. He's going to be drawing in the smiles because he's a good-looking guy. His father, people don't want to really boo him, I feel like. So seeing that, we got a "This is awesome" chant when he hit
I think that's why they give him such a superficial character when he's a heel, so you can feel good about booing this caricature.
And I'll tell you what, the Franken driver might have looked like shit, but when he hit that flip dive onto Moose, that deserved a "This is awesome" chance, because it was like bowling. He knocked down all 10 pins, and that man is like, a big bastard. Well,
like we're deep in the weeds because we're trying to cover both sides on NXT and on TNA, and some of us have been watching TNA forever. But I mean, there is a lot of people that still looked at TNA as that, that's the place where people go when all the big companies dump them and whatever, and it still gets painted with that shade sometime. So there may be a chunk of the audience, or a chunk of the audience that's just too young and has only been watching WWE, that doesn't know who Moose is.
Yeah, you're not wrong, and they're like completely...
If you haven't seen Moose before, he's a scary dude. I've seen him in person.
Yes.
I've seen him have a hardcore match at Destiny. Check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list. It's fine. Against one of our local guys, Hardcore Channing Decker, where they did the door spot, because their thing is
I remember you brought that
doors
up
instead of
to me.
tables.
Yeah.
And the dude it's like I would say the same thing when I met Billy Gunn. Like, you watch him on TV and he's big, and then you meet him in person and you realize that you never realized how big he actually was. Dude is big. And when you see him doing a bit of what he was doing tonight, when he's doing like the springboards off the top for a guy this size, like, That's fucking terrifying.
You know who that reminds me of, right?
Jacob Fatu?
No, well, that could be made as well. I was going to say, for me, Luke Harper.
Yeah,
because
that's a good shout. That's a good shout.
He's got the same almost height. I think Luke was a little bit taller, maybe, but still,
Luke was a little bit taller, but
Brody
Moose is a
Lee,
lot
however you
broader.
want to call him, Moose is bigger, but I think Brody was a little bit taller. But they both were like the big guys that shouldn't be able to do those type of, those offensive maneuvers, and Moose made it look so agile tonight. There was one point where, King gets out of the way of the spear. Then Moose just keeps running, and he just hit him again with this, the second, spear, and it was like he just was like a locomotive that you weren't going to stop.
It's the only thing that
he's
takes
so
me
fast.
No, the only thing, and this might be controversial, the only thing that takes me out of a Moose match is his spear.
Really?
Because of, and it's nothing to do with him, and he's just trying to style it out a little bit differently because a lot of people do the spear.
Do explain, yeah.
But the way he hits the spear, he looks like he stops when he gets to the person. It doesn't look like it's going through. To me, only my interpretation, right?
Okay,
but it looks like
you think he pulls back a little bit.
It looks like but it looks like he stops right before he gets to the person and rolls. Okay. So it looks like halfway through the spear, he's decided he's not going to do a spear anymore, and he's going to do like the Kevin Owens cannonball. And so it looks like it. Yeah, if you can pull it up, maybe
find it. We'll pull it up.
And it's one of those maybe it's just me things.
Oh,
but
hold on, that's Stephanie's ass.
Oh, good. All
right. Let me look. Hold on, I gotta look back. Okay, sorry, I had to get my focus back. But no, I'm looking for it. In the moment, those Hardy Boys, that ovation, like always. Yeah. I mean, holy cow, that place, totally insane.
I love that they use that piece that they've used for like every company they've been in is copy free, so they can literally take it anywhere they want.
I know we'll get to this later too, but I have to say as well, Ricky Saints, welcome to the revolution. Like perfectly packaged, the entrance, the laser light that comes down that has like the disco spinning effect, like it makes him look so goddamn special at this point. Like he really seems larger than life, and that match goddamn blew me away. So
Trek saying he wants to see Moose's spear versus Braun Breaker's spear. Braun Breaker's spear looks like it's going to kill you.
Yeah, Braun really
Moose
does.
Moose looks like he's trying to roll through it.
Braun does not pull punches, but
Braun's another scary dude.
He is so fast. So let's see. Yeah, Moose running up to the top. He just completely runs up to turnbuckle, and then he does a kip up. That was like, are
Which
you
is also
kidding
terrifying,
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to see if we have the finish here. Maybe this is it. No, that's where he went for the powerbomb finish. So I'm trying to find the spear still, people, but even the drop kick that he hit after getting kicked in the face was
drop
nuts.
kick's insane.
Yeah, like
drop kick's insane.
But Lexus is sitting on the top turnbuckle.
Yeah.
So
and he takes him out.
And he takes him completely out with a full jumping, leaping drop kick. Like, what?
I'm saying points for height, points for form.
Yeah. Totally incredible. So this match, stellar, but really, we know what the point was here. It was to set up the end, and that's exactly what it led to. Obafemi comes out and just, goddamn, these guys, I know everybody said this match is going to cook, then let them cook, because, oh my God. Moose's entrance looked great tonight, the way NXT presented it too. Mm-hmm. I think it even exceeds how they presented him in TNA at times. I mean, and I was thankful they didn't have the system thing going on. Like, it was just his solo.
I was going to say, like, if it's the system, they usually come out to the system music. If it's just Moose in a match, they stick with, because his music is, I will say, the thing that is kind of shooting WWE in the foot right now is by having so many like TNA people crossover, it really does underline the effect of having better music. We say Ricky Starks had good music tonight. They've done a pretty good WWE version of his AEW music, but like you've got an entrance like Moose, an entrance that's iconic like the Hardys, which is an entirely different conversation to have. Jordynne Grace got to keep her music because she owns it and bring it to WWE.
I'm trying to make this, all my tabs are here, so good thing I don't have any like weird porn searches, but looking at this really quick, AEW Dynamite tomorrow, The tickets available are 456, and they're set up for 3,430.
Okay.
So they're at 2,974. But like, and that's in Oceanside, California. You figured not far from where these guys were.
It looks like they've
originally.
cut an arena in half from what I can see from
That's
what you're
exactly what they did. Like,
oh, the big black curtains.
look at
Big
that.
black curtains.
Like, it's half the basketball court.
And somebody's going to say, well, they outsold NXT, and I'm going to say, well, that wasn't your comparison point a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I always say, if you are going to stream, have a streaming PC and a porn PC. You know, if you're going to do weird kinky shit, never do it on the stream PC. But think smart, people. I mean, look what happened to me in my leaks. I mean, I that's why I had to go back through and lock everything up and make sure nothing else gets out. Unless you pay for it.
You're going to sponsor your own VPN soon, aren't you?
It might happen, you know. So just to keep things tight. I'm
too late for that.
Also excited after this match because it glitched for a little bit, but then it came out. We had Sean Spears talking about everybody in his new group. Not new, but essentially his team. He's like reintroducing everybody is how I should say. So he talked about Nico Vance and how he's like just his gift is his ferocity, and he's like Izzy Dame. She's what, like the missing piece, and he said like she's very devious or something, and then.
Don't call her manipulative.
Yeah, he said call it strategy. That's right. It's coming back to me. And then who else? He was talking about
Brooks Jensen.
Brooks and so he had
I think
Brooks.
Finally gave him a haircut.
Yeah, because
so he doesn't look like the adult version of Jack Perry.
He looked much better, and he's like, I transformed his mind, his body, his soul, and he really did give him a makeover. So good on that, Sean Spears. He looks like an actual wrestler now. Before he looked like a guy that should be working at Hot Topic. I'm sorry, it just was not a good look.
And the thing is, to be fair, like you can have people that pull off that like disheveled, unkempt look, but he didn't look like he was into it.
That wasn't his gimmick, That wasn't what he was supposed to be going for.
Well, for a while there, we didn't know what his gimmick was, and that didn't help.
That's basically what I'm saying. Like, there was nothing there, so having that look didn't fit what little character we had gotten at any point. It just all seemed odd.
If it was a case of like, oh, my life's falling apart, and I have like do a Paul Heyman type thing. I haven't shaved in a couple of days, right?
Yeah, no, like the Baron Corbin downfall when he went ahead and did the the lead into Happy Corbin.
Did I mention
Corbin?
Did I mention, and I should say it here, speaking of people that have just been recently released from WWE.
You just keep knocking out of the park.
When I go to my next Destiny show, check out your Spies Phoenix bucket list, it's fine. At a show I wasn't able to go to, Dijak won our title from Hammerstone, and he's defending it against Bishop Dyer, a.k.a. Baron Corbin, at Icons 4.
My money's on Bishop. I have a feeling he's going to be around for a while. Yeah,
he's going to be one of those guys that people already follow Dijak and all his cool stuff that he does, but I think Corbin, because he was just starting to get his flowers right before they let him go, he's going to be somebody that like even people that aren't indie fans are still going to keep tabs on what he's doing.
Still, because
they want to see him succeed.
That's the problem. Like Miro had that with the Rusev Day shit and all that. Like he was at a still very popular point in his career when they let him go. So it was weird.
I wonder what Corbin could do. Like, would he do a run, like not just to like worm his way back into WWE, but like, do you think
TNA
Baron Corbin, Bishop Dyer run in TNA at this point?
No, I would say that would hurt him right now because he wouldn't have a chance to develop. It would look like he's always trying to get back to the good graces of WWE. Like no matter how, I don't think he would have a chance to really show this new character off and what this is. We don't know much yet.
If they didn't have the working deal and they were still separate entities, I think it would be a different conversation.
Isla Dawn put out a video on Twitter that was great.
Yep.
She did the little breakdown of character and admitted they got let go and
people. You never hear how much people like you until you're not there anymore.
Exactly.
Type stuff.
Yeah, great from her as well. Just like Mr. Chase U that got released. What's his name?
Duke Hudson.
Yes, I apologize.
Duke Hudson
lack of sleep. Very high.
Those, anybody who's familiar with comedian on YouTube, Ryan George.
Yes.
Who does those edited videos, like talking to different versions of himself. It was the first thing I thought of when I saw the Duke Hudson video. I mean, he's literally talking to himself rather than caricatures, but I'm like, it's got to be weird to do because you're talking to nobody and then you're answering to nobody. And yeah.
So one of the things I really want to point out here is like the way things are handled in production. NXT has really become the third brand. It's been this way for a while, but what I'm trying to point out is the way they've been booking and being logical about things. Like things need to be verified with Avo. She has to, certify the matches, make things happen, blah blah blah. They're doing a great job at selling the story. And Michael Cole was talking about that on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast, and everybody said it was amazing. I've listened to half of it now, and Patrick was telling me it was great, so I really went back, and I'm like, all right, let me finish this. And he's right. He's like, I wasn't an analyst. I was a storyteller. That was my job. That's what Vince told me to do. Tell a story. Don't worry about anything that's going on.
Because he said I've never been a wrestling announcer.
Yes, he's like, I'm just a storyteller. But he's right. He's never been calling moves really to the extent as the other guys. He was the, oh my God, could it be? For the love of all mankind. But we got some great moments out of Michael Cole too, and ever since the Cruiserweight Classic when he got to work with Bryan, that reinvigorated his drive for wrestling. It felt like he didn't have Vince screaming in his ear the whole time, and that made him fall in love with it again. And since that time, it really seemed like he liked working with Morrow, then he liked working with Pat, obviously. So like he's had this like good run of people that make him want to excel. So my point is the layout and format for tonight, they set up Moose in such a way. They give him this grand entrance, a really dominant match against a babyface, because people are going to boo him against the NXT homeboy. He's the invading man, Moose is. So they put him over super strong in a competitive match, and that's when Obafemi comes out.
Even though he's a heel, right, and TNA fans would boo him regularly, I love the fact that because he's now in, I guess, the other territory, his fight coat had the TNA flag on it.
Exactly, and the TNA side are starting to kind of, I saw on Twitter, TNA fans were like, well, now I'm rooting for Moose because I've always been an Impact guy. So we're getting kind of like that TNA versus NXT thing that we wanted, but in a totally different way. Could you imagine a real, like, War Games type scenario? Not just the match, but I'm saying, like, build up to it, all of it, what they could do if they ever framed it, like, as a true invasion or an attack. TNA was like, we're tired of being, second fiddle. Yeah. Our champion got thrown out by Roman Reigns. He should be treated like the top guy. Things like that. They can go a long way with it.
I know where you're going with that, but I love the fact that people who are desperate for this deal not to work saw that as like some big disgusting thing, and it's like literally everybody in WWE has been beaten by Roman Reigns.
Exactly. That's the point of it.
It's not that deep.
Roman's only lost the one match, right? He hasn't lost anything else that I can recall since coming back.
Well,
did they lose the tag? Yeah, the tag.
Technically, he lost to Jay.
Yes. So, but besides,
which is why Jay should have taken the title from him instead of Cody. But we don't need to go there.
We don't need to go with that one. But I like Jordynne Grace coming out next. She had a really good babyface kind of promo here. This, as you said, was a reintroduction of her. And again, that's what I'm saying. Like we've seen her, the weeks prior. We've seen Moose and Obafemi, the showdown weeks prior. But they reintroduce it, and now there's stakes to it. Oh, he's a conquering, dominant heel.
It's funny. It's funny because, like, you say it was a great babyface promo, and on its face,
for Grace,
yeah, for Grace. I think this was the seed of a heel turn dressed up as a babyface promo, because here's these two popular women that have just come in and have both found like pretty much immediate success, and she's come out there to say, yeah, I was standing beside you. Next time you see me, I'm going to be across from you. And she's a powerhouse. She should think that she's going to eat their lunch.
Exactly. And see, you literally this time took the words out of my mouth. So I was going to say, she gave the great babyface promo also building the foundations of a heel turn off of so many little things in there. I mean, you could use any of those as a indirect hint or even just a little bit of subterfuge, you know. But like you said, she should be dominant. She should feel like a real badass because she looks at the other girls and she's this massive goddamn refrigerator, and she should be taken seriously. And that's why I really like the presentation here. Then Roxanne comes out. She's going to make the foil, and you know, she's talking down to her. Oh, where's your title now? You know, Roxanne's. That was a great line from Jordynne. I like that she got a little, tit for tat with her, because some people don't always come out so great when going one-on-one with Roxanne, as we know. So we've seen that go south a few times. Thankfully, this was not that. So she's like, I'm going to win the Elimination Chamber, then I'm going to be the Women's World Champion. And then she's like, and then I'll go after the NXT title again and be Roxy Two Belts. And people started chanting Roxy Two Belts. So Miss, the bitch, the heel herself, she's still over in some ways. So yep. Grace was like,
I do think that we're going to get, I don't know whether it's going to be at Stand and Deliver or whether it's going to be before Stand and Deliver, but I think we've played around so much with Roxanne Perez finally going to the main roster. There's a passing of the torch happening slowly. I thought it was going to be directly her to Julia, but she's fought Stephanie Vaquer as well. She's kind of like detached herself from her tag team partner a little bit. Jordynne Grace is going to be the last one. So she's not handing, when she leaves NXT, she's not handing the division over to one person. She's sort of gone through all these different people. Zaria is a little bit of a different story because Zaria went a tag team route, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I think she's handing the baton over to a collection of women that are going to hold the division up rather than, okay, I've dropped my title to Julia, the division's hers now. Yeah. It's like, no, there's way too many of them. Let's give it to all of them. I think she goes one more round with Jordynne Grace on her way out the door of NXT. I think we sort of solidify that. I mean, unless she wins the Chamber on Saturday.
Yeah. I was looking my Drive Fast and Leave a Good Looking Corpse album. I think it's still up on the wall. The green screen cuts it all off. But what's going on, Paul? Hope everything is going and you're rocking awesome. I think you're onto something, and that's kind of the thing here. There's so many layers and levels with this, and so many different ways they can go. And she could just beat the hell out of her, and that's her swan song out of NXT. It could be that simple, or something big could happen. I mean, there's a lot of ways this could go, and that's what the layers here is what's making it interesting.
So
I could see either women logically winning.
If her last match in NXT is against Jordynne Grace, would you do it before WrestleMania and sort of reheat the her and Bayley thing and let her and Bayley go at it at WrestleMania? Or would you have her and Jordynne Grace at Stand and Deliver Oi 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 and have her debut on Raw the next night?
No, I want Jordynne Grace to face whoever wins the belt for belt, or it becomes a triple threat is the most likely thing there. If she costs the match, then we're going to get a triple threat in my mind. That's how I see it.
Fair, yeah.
That's my Stand and Deliver, and I can see Roxanne kind of maybe being eliminated at, if not Roadblock, then one of the TV specials before Mania, because they do have one more special, I believe.
Do they?
I thought they did. I thought
NXT?
I thought they had one more TV special coming up, but I'll have to double check. I might be way off, but I thought there was something for like a St. Patrick's Day, whatever type week thing, and maybe I'm crazy or there was an old plan, but still. I liked her going ahead and getting the punch in on Roxanne, and then Roxanne tries to get the hell out of there before she gets destroyed. She kind of escapes from the ropes, and
I do like the whole wink and a nod of everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face, and she didn't even finish that sentence. Because realistically, even if she stays babyface, if you're Jordynne Grace looking at Roxanne Perez, like, I don't want to be mean. I like Roxanne, but
no, but that should be, like you said, eat your kids' lunch money. And if Cora Jade doesn't come try to save the day and still get destroyed as well, then but their union is pretty much kind of spoiled, right? They've split, and they didn't have like a real definitive split, but the Vengeance Day was like they're done with each other. I kind of wanted their rivalry to end at Stand and Deliver, and that be her last match, definitely.
And the other thing is too,
because I would want Cora Jade to beat Masha Slamovich and take the TNA, because she's not held the belt. She's worked her ass off for years. Masha's had it for a little while now, and then Masha can still chase it. Cora can cheat to get the initial belt win, and then she faces or defends the belt against her friend Roxanne. Roxy loses, goes to the main roster. That's your swan song. That's how I would do it at Stand Deliver. But
see, the only thing.
What do you guys in the chat think? That's what we want to know. What do you guys want to see for both situations, Stand Deliver or Mania?
The only thing about that, and don't get me wrong, I like Cora Jade. If she's the first person to like bring a title over from one show to the other, because we keep talking about it, it's got to happen eventually. If that happens for her, that's amazing. There's a little bit of a thing with Masha Slamovich. I think Masha Slamovich is awesome. I think, however awesome she is right now, she's going to reach another level that we haven't seen yet. The problem with her is she's trying to fill Jordynne Grace's shoes, because she was the one that got Jordan's title as Jordynne was leaving the company. Again, that whole passing of the torch, passing of the baton type of thing. And Jordynne Grace was held up for so long as like the woman in TNA. So for Masha Slamovich to be the one that has her torch passed to her, to lose the title relatively quickly and be the person that lost the title to another company, they gotta be careful.
I think that if they really get over like the cheating aspect, and that being the nefarious means, Cora Jade, goddamn you, you screwed over Masha, and now Masha doesn't look weak. She looks like, hey, I got screwed by a cheating bitch. I'm gonna kill you, and that can lead to the one after sacrifice. It's in our rotation over here, but. We'll see it on the way by. I know they have their little preview of TNA shows coming up. That would be Roxanne. Yeah, if Vince was still there, he would take Perez away from her last name, and she would come out to absolutely the police.
And she would debut at Great Balls of Fire too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Byron Cutler said, I think we get a triple threat match at WrestleMania 41. Rhodes, Cena, Punk. Oh, we are absolutely cooking with this one, and we're going to talk about that on the State of Wrestling podcast on the Spaz Phoenix YouTube channel coming up.
I was going to say, I hate to be doing the cheap plug thing. I have
not a better time for it, my friend.
I have a very interesting theory about the Soul Stealer, The Rock.
Yeah.
And I am saving it for the preview.
I can't wait to hear all about that. I've got a few ideas myself. You and I are going to be cooking with that. And then, obviously, before Mania, we will have a live into somewhere for just news, rumors, and all the build on the road to WrestleMania. So stay tuned for that as well. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the like button. I appreciate you all hanging out. But, Byron, you're definitely onto something, because Cena saying this is what's best for business is so non-Cena-like. It's so formulaic of a heel that it's like, oh, are they teasing us? Me going and winning at Mania is what's best for business. We still have a favor with CM Punk. We don't know where Drew falls in all of this, and there's just so many layers to this. It's exciting. I don't know why people are saying the build to Mania is bad. I think people are just, because there's not an overarching bloodline Cody finish the story thing that was set, a year in advance. People are like, oh, the build sucks, but we're 2 months away from Mania still. We have time. There's so many shows.
The problem
let it build.
The problem is there's so many, and I will say that this is a problem WWE has created by being great. There's
the 2-night thing, so many matches.
No, there's so many wrestling matches that each person has multiple directions they could go. That wasn't even a sentence, but like,
I know what you mean.
Every match they make,
the layers, yeah.
No, but every match they make is, okay, they've made that match, which means we're not getting this match. Because you got Guy A versus Guy B, but Guy B could have faced Guy C. So if A and B are facing each other, that means B and C aren't facing each other. Now, that might mean C and D are facing each other, but I really wanted to see D face E. Like, there's so many stories that are on equal footing at this point that they physically can't give you all of them.
Yeah, so
really quick, it's a positive problem, but it's still a problem.
It is a problem, and you're not wrong. And so Sacrifice comes up first, then we have Unbreakable for the like mid to right before Mania, and then Rebellion, is the 27th, and then obviously Slammiversary is in July.
I was going to say Rebellion's next, and I hate breaking them up because TNA puts on good shows most of the time, but Rebellion is the next big pay-per-view.
Yeah, because Sacrifice is coming up soon.
Sacrifice is a Friday one. Unbreakable,
which I'm thinking about covering. If people in the chat want to cover the TNA pay-per-view, even though it's a Friday one, it's looking like it's going to be an exciting night regardless. Yeah. So it could be a lot of fun. Let us know if you guys want us to cover it. It's going to be good,
and there's a lot of crossover stuff already announced.
If the interest is there, I'm more curious what the chat thinks of, going forward. What do you want to do for this women's title picture? I mean, do you have either one of Julia or Stephanie take both titles and then face, Jordynne Grace? So. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a triple threat, but what is the chat thinking? I want to know. Trek says, please cover it. I think people are going to be interested in this Sacrifice show, so I think we might have to, but Ricky getting tagged in.
My only point was the Friday shows for TNA that are still great. They are considered the I guess the B show, what we would refer to as B shows. They are TNA plus specials only. They don't go to proper pay-per-view. Like, you can get them through Triller or whatever, but they are basically streaming exclusives. When you get to stuff like Rebellion, when you get to stuff like Bound for Glory and Slammiversary, those are seen as like bigger pay-per-views. So it's not a question of quality, it's a question of like presentation. It would be like, we have Roadblock coming up. Roadblock is an elevated episode of NXT, whereas Stand and Deliver Oi 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 is a proper PLE.
Sorry, I had to cover you up for a minute with Soul and Zarya, because even Zarya is exotically beautiful, and like it's amazing how different she. Yeah, absolutely, she looks so incredibly different. Not in the whole garb and makeup, but both of them stunning. Besides the fact they're exciting in the ring, I'm expecting big things from these two. If we do get that tag match, that would be incredible.
I like that she uses the spear and the what do you call it, the F5.
Yeah.
So it's like Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar in one wrestler.
Well, I like how they're trying to eventually time it, I guess, for her to throw the F5 and then her to do the soul snatch off of it. I guess that they had done it on a crash pad test, so if that's the case, that's incredible. But you could see, like, that would the mechanics behind it would be there. Like, if she throws her off enough, she's already in a down supine position. So you just got to go through with the flip.
You saw
it's just
SmackDown,
timing,
right?
Yes.
What do you think of the Mello and Miz team?
So,
okay,
it's again like the Miz has been the Miz has been the fucking Miz for so long, and I know a lot of people have said this. Brian Alvarez has, and Wrestle Talk has, and I'm not the only one, but he's the same guy from when he got in from the real world. Like, he didn't evolve at all. The heel character is the same as the face. One's just snarky and the other one's a little more sincere, but it's the same promo level, like intensity. It's how he talks on the mic, like his verbiage doesn't change, his mannerisms don't change between he has been the exact same guy for 2 decades. I'm tired of him, and I don't even know how he could really reinvent himself at this point.
I just think the fact that they tried to combine the skull-crushing finale with that sort of code breaker.
Yeah, that's what kind of gave you the thought of it, and it could be something cool, but it looked awful.
The first time didn't hit.
Yeah, and the first impression left a bad taste in my mouth. Yeah. I mean, my wife said the same thing. I told her I'll eat more pineapple, regardless. Those ladies have it going on, but I'm more excited about the women's tag match than I am for the men's side of things lately, because SmackDown's tag titles were white hot at one point, and I feel like it kind of cooled a little bit, unfortunately. So I don't know, I might be crazy there. And the Raw side of things, I mean, they're building, as we saw, obviously, the attack that came after the fact by the Viking Warrior Raiders, whatever you want to call them. But
you know what, that match is going to be good. I like the excuse me while I detour to Raw for a second.
Yeah.
I like this. Okay. I like Chad Gable. Chad Gable's an awesome wrestler. We've talked about it ad nauseum, right? But this whole idea that the leader has left and basically said, do something while I'm gone. And Ivy Niles out there kicking ass. And the Creeds are out there kicking ass. And they're genuinely like, when he comes back, we're going to have something to show for it. it seems like such a simple thing, but they seem genuine enough with it. Even
Absolutely.
as bad guys, I'm behind them. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I totally get it.
I want them to have something to show off for Daddy when he gets home, type thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
I
it
mean,
works.
your theory is he's going to go learn some magic from Malachi Black.
Because he said the dark arts, and that's exactly what his wrestling school is, the dark arts.
Yeah, but WWE apparently bought Lucha Underground, so he's got all kinds of people.
So
he can talk to.
there's a lot of options. I don't know if they're buying the library or if they're going to do something with the product. It's a crazy time. WWE's just globbing up everything. I wish in some strange world.
It'll be a cheap excuse for me to actually watch it, because for all my sins, and everybody told me, oh, it's weird and fucked up, you'll probably like it. I never watched Lucha Underground.
It was so a thing of its time. It might be a little jarring to go back and watch now, but it is certainly having the hindsight factor of it. Then it was like a lot of mentality. Now you would need to, because it's a lot of not unknowns, but people on there come up. You know, Prince Puma is Ricochet, and you know Penta's down there. So many talents. My brain will explode.
Swerve was down there too, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was
Killshot.
Yep. You named it.
Well, so, bunch of names you probably can't.
And they had so many goddamn brutal matches, and people would get killed off. Like it was kind of like a soap opera,
like a Hardy Compound Undead Realm type thing.
One thing I will say about Triple H that I've been more appreciative of, he kind of got handed the Bloodline story, so he had to follow a certain pattern, because what was he going to do? He had to stretch it out till Mania. Like that had to be the end, so he really had to drag that one along, but there was a payoff for it in sight. Everything else has moved along fairly quick, minus Rhea and Liv, and even that wasn't forever. It was only from SummerSlam till, like, right up before SummerSlam till Survivor Series, right? Around then, or Saturday night's main event. You figure like 5 months. We've had worse. Point being, everything continually moves along, and that's why NXT has been a lot of fun.
With Liv as well, and it's kind of impressive when you see somebody like Rhea Ripley, who's like clearly the main, like the final boss main event woman of Monday Night Raw, because there was a period of time there where people were getting sick of their feud and they were taking it out mostly on Liv.
Yeah.
And the slowly, like, don't spend any time on X if you want to maintain your mental health. But the narrative around Liv Morgan has slowly curled back upwards again. And she's basically getting her flowers. And like another one is Karrion Kross. Who put out a message the other day, sort of out of character. Like, I've seen the opinion of me change in the past little while. I've seen, you guys reaching out, whatever. I see you. I appreciate you, whatever. I would imagine sooner or later you're going to get something like that from
it
Liv,
seems that
because
way.
people are cluing in, because no, she's not, somebody that came over from another, like a women's fed. Like, she's not a Julia or Stephanie Vaquer or an Asuka or Io Sky or somebody like that, but she's 10 times what she was I would say a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, from a decade to a year. I mean, think about how she was with Charlotte on SmackDown.
Think about when they had her cash in on Ronda Rousey and how bad all that was handled.
Yeah, exactly.
There's very clearly reasons why some people would target her.
Maybe
the same way they would go for Bliss, the same way they would go for Charlotte, the same way they went for Dana Brooke back in the day.
Exactly. You know that, and maybe somebody in the chat, Liz might know or track somebody. But with Lucha Underground, there was one match Penta had where he took on 3 female wrestlers like in a gauntlet, one after the other. Okay. And when I say he beat the shit out of these women, it was like they were divorced and he owed child support, and they told him, if you kill her, you don't gotta pay. It was bad. Like, he
wasn't one of them Chelsea Green.
Oh, I think Chelsea Green. She definitely got her ass kicked by him at one point in time. That was memorable. She might have been one of the 3, but this triple threat, like the brutality of it, and the women. I remember a few of them wearing masks. I think one of them might have even been Io, because she did face him at another point in time. Liz was right about that. But Liz and I used to talk about that back in the day. Lucha Underground was nutty, man. It was crazy.
I am gonna have to check it out at some point.
You will enjoy it. It is something that you should have in your repertoire. So going forward, I love the classic loaded theme, like you said, for the Hardys. As soon as that it hits, you get into it. You finger banging. You're right into the girl, just right into your heart, baby. Finger bang bang, every night, every way, every day. We saw No Quarter Catch Crew, Tavon Heights, Miles Bourne with Charlie Dempsey and Ren Sinclair, of course. Non-title match here.
What I find funny is even Ren Sinclair was doing the Hardy dance when they were coming in.
That's what I was gonna say. It's so infectious. You can't help. And when Jeff started off and with Tavon, and then all of a sudden Matt tags in, and you just get the delete chants, and the whole crowd is so loud, and it just takes me back to the WrestleMania 33. Who some people in the chat were there for that one, and what a memory that is to relive. I mean, them coming out as the surprise fourth entrant for the ladder match, that pop is like a top 10 all-time pop, and it's for the Hardy Boys. It's not Stone Cold. It's the Hardy Boys. Like that means something. So this was the point I was going to say earlier, and I don't want to sound like an AEW detractor here because I'm not a hater. I'm not part of the haterade. I know you are more of a detractor, let's say, we'll be honest. But I'm a realist here. They did not look good in AEW. I mean, we saw them get battered and bruised. Matt Hardy scared the shit out of us and almost died multiple times. Like the Sammy Guevara feud he had nearly killed him. First he gets spiked with a chair, then he gets sent off of a scissor lift, smashes his head on the ground, then he continues the match after collapsing to his feet. They're like, he could go. Oh, he's fucking... Oh, I remember watching that live, freaking out. I was so ripping pissed.
But
not as mad as his
thing
wife.
That's out there now that, like, yeah, the Bucks used to look up to them, but they brought them in so that they could say,
so they could wrestle and beat them. Yeah, we're better than
them.
you. Yeah, we're better than you, and you know it. Oh,
please come in and put us over.
And that's what happened. And sadly, the Hardys never got the run they deserved. And they also brought Jeff in right as that DUI happened, unfortunately, and it really hindered his return because then everything had to wait. So Matt was like, and then when he finally did come out to save his brother, he was just standing there dancing while his brother's getting his ass kicked. So nobody, he's got a short with Chris Van
to be fair,
and that's funny.
Thing
but
that a lot of wrestling companies are guilty of. If somebody's got a particular entrance,
but
like
it was
that's
just
not particularly an AEW thing.
We know the main goal here with the Hardys is to take on Fraxium, and Frazier and Axiom have been on such a goddamn just title reign. I know they lost it to. We'll forget all that with
Andre
Chase. Yeah, that was the Chase U stuff was just a little hiccup, little road bump. They got the belts right back the week after, and really I thought the Rascals were going to be the one to dethrone them. How the year has changed, my friend. So when you look back at 2024, it was a wild year.
The Rascals are still going to do something big at some point.
I think
like I don't want to be the guy like. The accusation is, WWE is just going to steal all TNA's talent, and I genuinely don't want that to happen. But the Rascals
here was my eventual thought. What if we see Nathan Frazier and Axiom beat the Hardy Boys? Because this was announced later. The Hardy Boys have the tag team match for the world titles, for the TNA world titles, not the NXT ones. But it's going to be defended on an NXT show again, so that's crazy. Remember years ago when you were just speculating about having an X Division match at Mania? Now it could be a possibility. Like these things
X
are
Division
happening.
Tag team,
my God, though. So the Hardy Boys taking on Fraxium. I'm so excited. Like Nathan Frazier is a guy that I'm like really been impressed by. I overlooked him initially. And then when him and Axiom got together, they just were like the perfect pairing. However they managed that. Because was it Kid A or whatever? We've been over this stuff, but granted, just the packaging of these two together was magic. Yep. They've made it work. They've been so fucking impressive in the ring, but their promo skills are great. They're funny. Their banter is good. They're dramatic. You don't want them to break up.
Funny? If you follow it along, like everybody's been sort of saying, like, "Hey, tag team of the year 2024" and all that kind of thing. One of the loudest voices putting over Fraxium, even before there was interactions between the two, even before the deal was solidified between NXT and TNA, some of the biggest voices speaking in their favor have been Matt and Jeff.
Yeah.
But
they've put them over continually. And like I said, my point was they have not looked better than they do here. In NXT, they looked rejuvenated. Like their TNA run has been good, I'm saying as well. But they haven't looked this good in WWE in a very long time, and they haven't looked this good overall. since returning to TNA, even these two have really, like the last
Well, they've been,
2 or 3 matches, you've really seen them excel.
To be fair, they've been stuck fighting the system.
That's part of it too. So they've not had that many.
They're fighting the system.
Great opponents
on Thursday.
I know.
Okay, I have to say, what world are we living in? The system is taking on the Hardys and Obafemi this Thursday.
Nuts. So that's going to be crazy. Nuts. I'm excited for that. We'll get into that too. But
here's my pitch: if Fraxium pick up the TNA tag titles, have the Rascals be the ones that bring them back.
That's exactly what I was going to say to you.
Capture the flag type of thing almost.
So that's what you literally just, you spilled the apple juice down the hall, but tell Mom it's not her fault. I'm telling you, my friend, I'm going old school with this. I think you're right. I think the Hardys, that I can see that happening. They're good about putting people over. Yeah. I could, like you said, hot potato with the belts, not essentially, but I can see Rascals like, hey, now you guys get it could be something really interesting.
Because who was it? It was when they did the TNA titles and put them on Omega, and then Omega lost the Impact title to Christian, and Christian then went back to TNA, defended against Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander won the title, immediately got cashed in on by Moose, blah, 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 blah. But Josh Alexander was the guy, because he was like the heart and soul of TNA at the time. He was the guy to bring their gold back. Now, you don't have to make it an enemies type of thing, like if Fraxium win respectfully, carry the titles respectfully, and all that kind of thing, and the Rascals just be the ones to pull it back to their side of the line. That's huge for the Rascals, because not only did you bring the titles back from from NXT back to TNA, but you just beat the team that beat the Hardys. And and technically, you've also beaten the NXT Tag Team Champions, so you've set yourself up another shot at the NXT Tag Team titles later on down the line if they want to play the story the other way around.
See, and thank you very much for looking that up. It is the Trek had found it for me. I know I'm taking us back, but it was the Black Lotus Triad. So one of them was Kairi Sane, another one was Io Shirai, and the final one was just Black Lotus. She went by, let's see, what was her name in NXT? Angela Fong in NXT. Okay. I don't know if you're familiar. And the third and final was Daku, and that was Asuka. So, so they had, like I said, Kairi Sane, Io Sky, and so Penta went ahead and murdered these three. It was it was insane. So you can look up, Penta Dark versus Kairi Sane. They had a one-on-one match that was incredible. And then Io Shirai took him on solo. But the triple threat, like I said, it was like a gauntlet one.
Oh, wow.
So brutal. We'll have to find it, but you got to go back. Speaking of going back, one of the things I wanted to mention, too, Collision, they got 421,000 viewers this past weekend on TNT. Raw, the week before, for the 17th, they averaged 2.8 million global views. So they're doing it kind of weird now because they were counting households before, but now it's global views. SmackDown with The Rock hit a high of 1.736. That's up from 1.42 the week before. I know people like to touch on the ratings. We'll find out.
Let's just say
this week.
Promo of the year from The Rock.
Absolutely. And we have The Rock. He's going to be, talking to Cody Rhodes one-on-one. Cody will be there on SmackDown as well, so it's going to be interesting what Cody has to say to The Rock.
I'll be there.
We have Kevin Owens taking on Sami Zayn in an unsanctioned match. You got Liv Morgan versus Bianca versus Alexa versus Bayley versus Naomi versus Roxanne. I mean, any woman could take that. We're going to talk again about all of that, plus the main event of John Cena, Punk, McIntyre, Logan Paul, Priest, Seth Rollins in the Man's Chamber, to see who they face, who Cody defends against at WrestleMania 41. So it's a huge show. And I did forget one more, too, because we got Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus against Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. One of the things, I know Tiffany did the cash-in, but that was her face turn. I didn't really see that as her face turn. It just looked like a cash-in on Nia, but now she's face. She's working against the heels, and I think they're just going with the momentum of people.
I don't think they've turned her face. I think they've stopped pushing the idea that she's a heel, and they're letting people like her. I know that's a hair of a distinction.
No, but that is a big
telling
difference.
You she's a good person.
Yeah,
it's funny that you say, the main event is the guys' chamber, because realistically it should be. There is and I understand it. There is a huge groundswell right now for Sami and KO to be the main event.
I get that.
Especially with it being unsanctioned. I know it's not the same as AEW doing the lights out match, but they could treat it with that kind of reverence, I guess you could say.
I'm fidgety, I'm in pain, but yeah, that's about as close as it gets to being a lights out, type style match that AEW has done. Obviously they had their Omega Moxley one that was their first standout. That was a great one. So
if you want to say it's not sanctioned, it's not technically part of the show, then the show has to be over. Like, if you wanted to do that in a logical way, we didn't. Say the match is like 20 minutes long, right? we didn't just not have a show for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
like, it would make sense. Although, with the further implications of the chamber, then you would say use the guys, treat it like the Rumble, because it's kind of the other Rumble now with the two titles.
I'm just so excited, really, on the NXT side of things, because they're booking MSG strong, they're booking the chamber strong. Yeah. We've got Roadblock booked strong. Like, everything just is important. And I know it's Mania season, but it used to be like you had the Rumble, then you kind of had a lull, and then they threw in the chamber eventually, and it was like, oh, we'll get one of the people to win, but you kind of knew who was walking out of there most times.
Yeah.
And we got to Mania, and for a long time it was like, oh, yay, Roman and Brock again, or something we turned on. We're getting these great things. I'm really baffled that people in the middle of this wrestling renaissance are being upset, saying the Mania build sucks. I mean, I think things are stellar right now. There's so many wild cards and unknowns. And now, if we are 2 weeks to go and this was the picture, I would totally agree. But and I know The Rock threw a wrench into things, but nothing could stop the excitement I have for the Hardys taking on Fraxium. This was a big nostalgia kick for me, just seeing them on a WWE show. I know they've been with TNA, but still, this matters. They came through that portal. It mattered. Yeah. We saw Sol Ruca taping up Zarya's injured wrist backstage from when they had, gotten attacked before. So now we got Chelsea Green and Piper Niven are going to be facing them, next week, right? So we'll see that next week. Then Ariana Grace was...
Do we see Sol Ruca? Sorry.
No, please.
I know that Chelsea's on a run. She's really popular. I don't want them to necessarily unseat her as champion anytime soon. But if they win the tag match, okay, you've come over to NXT soil. This is our backyard, blah, 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 blah. Zarya hits some really ridiculous power move on Piper because that'll look awesome.
Yeah.
Does Sol Ruca get a shot, not necessarily for the purposes of getting Chelsea's title, but as an excuse to get her on SmackDown and just have her be seen on that bigger stage? So
they could do it like even if you beat Raquel, then you get the title shot, but they could do something with it. I think it's going to be a fun scrap kind of match to build up to hopefully their plans at Oi 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 or Mania, and we'll see what comes of that. As we said, though, going through the rest of this, Lola Vice, Ariana Grace, not too much to say. Very short match. Grace did what she needed to. She even got a couple of quick, nice-looking tornado kicks, and I was like, oh, that.
I like that they kind of went into this decidedly saying, hey, Ariana Grace hasn't wrestled in a while, but don't go into this thinking it's a squash, because she got some. She got
once she missed the elbow drop, she got the shit kicked out of her. But before that, she got the she hit her with the flying elbow, and she got it turned into the swinging neck breaker there. She had some moments. So
I mean, we haven't seen Lola Vice in a couple of weeks. It feels like
and then
because her thing was with Jada Parker, and Jada Parker is facing Kalani Jordan now.
Yeah, more important though, bud. We went ahead and saw that random group in the back attacking again. So
on the NQCC.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to say,
I'm still excited to see what the hell happens. I think something at Roadblock is going to be like the unveiling of these guys. I think that's going to be when we really get the group name or whatever their mission is. This is going to be the Death Riders, hopefully done right. Like the Death Riders has no purpose at this point in time. They're not going anywhere. They haven't done anything. We don't have morals that we know of. They don't like. It's just more heat and beating down baby faces. With this, it could be a bunch of backstage attacks and nothing. You know, what have we gotten with the Wyatt Six in a long time? So that's concerning as well. I mean, I think
they got to be careful. I think we said this before Vengeance Day, but you've got this new group that's just coming up off the ground, and you've got Sean Spears' group just coming up off the ground, who are also just, we're gonna disturb stuff and we're gonna get our way and blah 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 blah. And the presentation of Sean Spears' group tonight was okay.
Yeah,
got mixed reviews.
I liked it. I really did. I thought it was a good way to reintroduce them.
And I wish I could pull an example off the top of my head. It's getting tired in here.
Yes.
When people started poking holes in it, I couldn't exactly argue with the holes there. They basically said like he looked like Zordon, like the floating head.
Yeah.
And I was like, that probably could have been done a bit.
I didn't think it was bad though. I appreciated what they went for, and I give them. And honestly, it's not like I'm just giving them a pass.
Points
like,
for trying.
I genuinely, there aren't points for trying there. I liked it. I thought it was
the
effective.
promo was good. The promo itself was good, like the content of the promo.
Yeah, the effects were a little cheesy.
I think visually they made some interesting choices, and I think that's what most people were picking away at.
Exactly.
Which is fine.
And you are right. So next week we got Tony D defending his North American Championship against Sean Spears. So that's going to be a great match. I've heard that Spears might take a run with the belt with his new faction behind him. So that might be an upset. Then we got Kalani Jordan taking on Jada Parker. Sign me up. That's going to be fucking badass. And then Ruka and Zarya taking on Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. Go ahead, sir.
One thing I will say, if Sean Spears is taking that belt off Tony D, it does make me nervous that they're going to try and pull the family up to the main roster. And I'm sorry, it's the one rare exception right now, because all the call-ups that they've done recently have been good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you make the family work on the main roster.
Yeah, it is I
think that's a very it lives on NXT type of thing.
Yeah.
Like it would be like Andre Chase University wouldn't work on the main roster.
And you did mention Evans being a glitch before, and it's kind of funny because I forgot that his entrance, they used the video game, the 2K game, basically his entrance. But I'm excited for next week. I like the main event here. As we said before, there's not a lot to cover in the main event. It's just your typical babyface versus heels tag match, but it was just really damn good. So
one thing I will say, I just want to say this quickly before we get into this from the other tag match, because we focused mostly on the title stuff and whatever. And again, NQCC were just kind of the other guys in the ring as we thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
It can't go without saying
they weren't stepping stones, though.
They weren't.
It certainly elevated them losing to the Hardys in such a
not
hard up fashion. They had a fight and they came close some points. So.
I just want to shine a spotlight on like Miles Bourne is who he is. He's mini Randy Orton. Everybody's saying it. Even they were chanting, "You're not Randy.
You're not
but
Randy."
Tavion,
love you, Cincinnati, but that's gonna stay forever in my head now.
Tavion Heights is a fucking machine.
He's great. So I think they do have something there. It's just I don't know if those two need to be out of the no quarter catch crew formula and just be them two in a tag team and kind of.
I think the no quarter catch crew works.
You do? See, I'm not.
I do.
I don't know. I'm less sold on it than I was before.
Yeah.
I see what you mean, but
if you ask me why it works, I would say I don't really know.
I'm not sure. Yeah, and that's
I'm
not
not
a
sure
great
why
reason,
it
but
works,
I understand
but
how you feel.
I'm not sure, but I'm not upset when they're on my screen. As I say, they were very much playing the same role as Carmen Petrovic was earlier on in the night. She was there to be the other person in the ring so that Stephanie could get a win, so that the next story could have it. It was the same thing here. They were there in the ring so that the Hardys could have this really cool return so that they could get onto their next story. And it's hard to do that role. And I think they did a little bit better than Carmen. No offense to Carmen. They did a good job of sort of shaking off that role a little bit and making their own statement along the way.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, like, because the Hardys aren't small guys, so Tavion chucking them around like he was doing.
So I'm gonna pull it up really quick just so I can show the chat what you're talking about.
Sure.
Because just like you said, not RKO. How much it looked like Jeff Hardy taking on Randy Orton, but that's not Randy Orton.
No, but have you ever seen Miles Bourne and Randy Orton in the same place?
I have not, but that, my friend,
Somebody
that's
said,
pretty suspect. Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that face.
Over on the other channel there, somebody said Miles Bourne looks like Randy Orton and vacant had a child.
Yes, because he's got kind of that not quite bald look, but it is funny to have that. You know what I mean?
He's got that incomplete creator wrestler.
He doesn't not what I meant by bald look, but like the bald head. Like he doesn't have that total dome shape yet. So crazy. But I know I kind of skipped to the main event. It was nice seeing Santino Marella come out and announce the title match for the Hardys.
I think he was taken aback, when you saw him first come out, like he sort of
I don't think you expected that reaction.
And then he took a step back again, got to use his old music, which is always good. It's the music he still uses now when he shows up for a Destiny show. Check it out.
I love what they did on Raw. They continue to have the interview in the audience. So they had Rhea getting interviewed, and then she got cut off by EO. So that was a lot of fun to have that in the crowd. Everybody's live behind you. Same thing tonight with Ava coming out and making the announcements for the Roadblock show. You know, Sarah Schreiber's interviewing her, and that's just really cool to have that balcony spot be used at least once a show. Basically, what I was going to know is, so Ricky Saints hit Paige with such a beautiful tornado DDT.
Sorry. What do we think of Ricky Saints' entrance?
Loved it. I mentioned it before. The laser lights spitting with like the disco ball kind of look. It's unique. It stands out. It fits with the Revolution theme. Everything that he had before. It sounds even a bit like his AEW theme that he brought in from NWA.
Whoa, hold on. Juan Salazar in the chat says, thoughts on Jada and Kalani having a mini feud and then forming a tag team to challenge for the titles later on this year. I wouldn't mind that at all.
That's why I was saying before, like those two, sign me up for it. There's chemistry there. When she challenged for the North American title back at one of the recent PLEs, it was previous, like summertime, I think it was, or maybe a little bit after that. Regardless, 2024 when she challenged, and she came up just short. It was just shy, but it was a really, really damn good title defense on both ends. Like Kalani really was stellar, and both of them walked away like, fuck, I want to see this again. So I'm excited to see a matchup next week. But like you said, turn them to a pair. Give Soul and Zarya someone to face. Like there's
Kalani not being so squeaky clean. I just love everybody. Is never a bad thing either.
They have exactly no, and they have to have one of the goddamn tag titles, the women's tag titles on one of the three shows. Like it needs to show up. You've got 6 hours between Raw and SmackDown, 2 hours on NXT. You can't corner off 10, 15 minutes. I mean, 5 minutes for the love of Christ. But there's got to be somewhere in there that they can navigate to have more, because these things need to be defended on not multiple shows, but I'm saying like 1 week on Raw, 1 week on NXT. Like they should have been, but they're never followed through on. So I hope Liv, having that, Raquel has the NXT connection, really, like the Riot Squad, all that stuff beforehand with Liv and NXT. They have ties there. I hope they keep coming back and defending it. Besides, I hope it happens. I hope the belts get used.
Because they're the only titles that are representative of all three brands.
Yeah,
take them to pay-per-view and make them be like multi-team matches. You've got the challengers, who don't really have a brand because they are multi-brand people, and then you get a set of number one contenders from Raw, set of number one contenders from SmackDown, set of number one contenders from NXT. You want to have these particular titles, you think you can hold these particular titles, you're going to be catching challengers from all corners at all times.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, and that really is the truth, my friend. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's just been this, like you said, the constant state of peril. The champions and whatnot need this to survive, but we've got so many stories and everything else being built that there's all these different angles that you're not even considering. So I'm just enjoying the ride. NXT is one of the shows I also look forward to the most throughout the week. Like, I know that could, but no, really, like, I genuinely, like, more than Raw, more than SmackDown anymore, because no matter what happens on NXT, I'm entertained. If it's a shit match and it's a performance center match and there's something I'm laughing at. If it's a great match, I'm cheering. And they've been on a friggin' roll so far. Not everything is great.
It seems to be the most anything can happen.
Most anything can happen, and the most booked in logic.
Yeah.
They're following through on old stories and points and plot points, and things don't get forgotten about. Like, and they're booked in a logical way where everything has like a crescendo at the end. It's all built upwards. Like, they purposely make the main event be the main event. They have a way to craft it where they tease it in the beginning, you get a promo in the middle, the package, and then the main event. Like, they make sure to make you not want to tune out. So I'm curious, honestly, what's going to happen with Ethan Page. Honestly, that's my takeaway from the main event. What do we get from him? They got the loss here. I really like the deadlift Rochambeau Dominator for the win. I don't know what you want to call it, but he went for the Cardinal kick, and then I was like, oh shit! But that dead fucking like Rochambeau Dominator that was badass. Yep. I really thought that. I
think going forward, you get one more stepped up match, because I think they're at one apiece. Ethan and Javon, or is it Ethan? Ethan has both of the wins.
Ethan has both of the wins. He re-injured his jaw the second time, and then he also got Cedric fired. So.
True.
He broke his hand and got him kicked out of the company. I thought this was not just solid. This was a stellar introduction for the universe to Ricky Saints, to what he does. There was nothing extravagant. It was all just like very effectively basic in the best way possible.
But it was balanced.
Exactly, and they had a big star feel.
It would be really tempting, especially with all the conversation that was around the Ricky Starks, Ricky Saints debut, jumping from AEW, whatever. It would be really tempting on his first match and his first night competing to have the match be all about him.
Yeah.
But you had three other wrestlers in there competing with him in the sense of like spotlight and whatever.
Yeah.
That were all making the case of, no, we're still here too.
Yeah.
You got a lot of what I want to see later on down the line, which is Wesley and Javon Evans. I could watch them wrestle forever. But I think you're going to get one more stepped up third match, last chance saloon type thing with Javon getting one more shot, and then you'll get Wesley. Him. Then you'll get Wesley and Ricky Saints at either Roadblock or Stand and Deliver Oi Oi Oi. And
that would be a hell of a match.
Ricky Saints comes out to face, Wesley, who's got the backup behind him. Wouldn't it be funny on a big pay-per-view stage? Ricky Saints comes out with the Rascals.
Yeah, comes marching in, And here's the thing: there's so much.
I tried to avoid it. I tried to avoid it.
But that 3-on-3 was already in my mind, and there's a lot they can do here. So think about it too. Like if Shawn Spears wins the title from Tony D, next thing up after that, Saints and Spears. I'm excited for that. I was a big Ty Dillinger guy. I like Spears.
Okay, here's the thing.
I like his group. I like what they did tonight with him. I mean,
I'm not a spiteful person, and I would never wish any bad on AEW, obviously, right? Imagine.
Do I have to say yes and agree, or
WrestleMania weekend? At WrestleMania, you've got Cody versus Punk. And on the undercard on NXT, you've got Ricky Saints versus Shawn Spears.
Yeah.
Let's just do a whole murderer's row of you could have had this if you weren't completely inept.
Exactly. You really could, though, the lineup.
Yeah. I don't know. I think
I'm curious what the chat wants to see most at Roadblock. I mean, I'm excited for a lot of things, but Roadblock... We got, obviously, Julia and Stephanie, title for title. We're thinking Jordynne Grace, but we'll see how they book going towards it. The Hardy Boys against Fraxium.
For the TNA titles.
NXT's tag team wrestling. I mean, look at the Baron Corbin and Breaker.
Braun Breaker, yeah.
What were they called? The War Dogs, right?
The Wolf Dogs.
Wolf Dogs, that's what it was.
Which
Christ.
didn't really make sense.
Yeah, should have been, whatever. But still, Wolf Dogs, I mean, they kind of like shot in the arm to the tag division that we needed at that point.
Yep.
But the NXT overall has pretty much had the most stellar tag division out of anybody for quite some time. Not to say the main roster hasn't had some good things.
Yeah.
AEW probably has my favorite tag match, and that was on a Collision. Go figure. It was the Gin and Juice taking on FTR. That hour-long match they had was incredible. But we're getting Obafemi and Moose, so fuck everything else. Yeah. That's for the NXT Championship. I don't know if it's for the X Division title. I don't hear anything about title for title. I thought Ava said it was just for.
See, here's the thing. Like, I read the spoiler that said it was going to be title for title, but that's from a future episode of NXT or of TNA.
TNA, yeah.
And
so something might happen with the 3-on-3,
yeah.
and they add to it, because right now she just said Oba versus Moose for the NXT title when she was out there on the thing.
They're doing a good job too of saying, like, because Santino's there and Ava's there, right? Like, Santino made a TNA title match.
Yeah.
Ava made an NXT title match. You don't have one single authority between the two of them saying, "Oh, this will be title for title."
Yeah.
Because no one authority would have the title.
So they have to confer with the others. No, that's. Yeah, I don't know, Trek. We're sure that's not Orton. No, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty damn close, but unfortunately not. Crazy stuff. But yeah, overall tonight, I would give this like a solid 8.5. Even I wouldn't say maybe I don't know if
maybe
I would go as high.
Not quite a 9. I think last week hit higher heights, and it had the downside of just being a generic show in the Performance Center.
Yeah, but it was like the follow-up of Vengeance Day, so it had like a really big what's next feel. So the only things I worry about, it seems like Ethan Page will have the rubber match cut. Well, not rubber match, but the conclusion to his
last
3-match series. For Javon Evans to get his revenge, because he's broken his jaw twice now. He was talking fine tonight though, which was funny enough. Like I said, I was asking the chat what they're looking forward to the most. Liz said she's looking forward to the Hardy match. Juan wants Stephanie versus Julia and the Hardys match, and Obafemi versus Moose. He said, but I heard Oba say title for title tonight. Yeah, Oba did say it. That's why I'm saying when they announced it.
A lot of people thought it was that. If you listen to his accent, and I went back and I watched this one particular bit with subtitles on.
Yeah.
What he was saying was champion versus champion, Titan versus Titan.
Oh,
not title versus title. So I don't know whether they're going to clarify that later on, or whether that forces them to then do the title versus title thing.
Interesting.
But he did say Titan, which makes sense because look at them. The other thing I wanted to touch on, and you and I have touched on it before.
Yeah.
Wes Lee, in addition to being just fantastic in the ring, he's really finding his way with this leader of big guys. I have my own faction. I might be a little guy, but don't fuck with me because look who I've got standing behind me, like Napoleon almost.
Yeah, exactly.
He's really finding his way with that. And I really like Wesley, and I was really behind him when he was, a guy that they wanted us to get behind.
No, and that's the thing. Wes has been fun for a while. I'm a child, and I'm trying to hit you in the head with the roadblock sign. Ready? Say ow on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Ow.
There we go. Look at that. Look at that.
It's in my face.
That is some amazing cinema. That's what I wanted to bring up to you really quick. So that was my little attempt at a stupid joke. But cinema, we hear it over and over. Cinema, we make the jokes of it. But that gets thrown around so much now. And I think it's just because the curtain is peeled back in such an extravagant way now that it is really viewed at, like, before we all knew it was fake, but like Randy Orton seems like he's Randy Orton. Like, it seems like now we really know, like, we see everything. We watch them walk in through the backstage and hit my music, and Triple H is there with the headset hitting buttons. Like, it's happening. We see it all. So it is hard to not
when you say Triple H hitting buttons, I just picture that old match with Orton and Cena where Orton started like fucking around with all the pyro.
Oh, the pyro, yeah. Trying to blow him up. That's the thing. Like, I have that type of like nostalgia thing going on here, but it really, just you get my point, right? It's that whole encapsulated feel. I don't know. I sense something. I feel something. It's happening. It's growing. It's making sense.
Yeah,
everything seems
we've
logical.
gone from the old days where like they were trying to fool you into now an age where we're going in with our eyes open.
Exactly.
And
that's
saying,
what I'm trying to get at. My tired brain.
We want to go on this ride.
Thank you.
Take us on this ride. We are willing.
We know Robert Downey Jr. isn't Iron Man, just like Trick Williams goes home to his wife, or if he's that kind of thing. Everybody has their family thing.
I bet he does.
We go ahead and
goes out for a carton of milk. Anyways,
I think people really, they just see them as actors now more so. Like wrestling, it's always been, but now I think that it really is so. With all of this,
do you mean Abaddon's not a real zombie?
Right. I don't want to call it dissension because that's not the right word. But like the dichotomy between the two, the divide that there is, that's been bridged in such a way now that it can't be unseen. It can't be unlearned. It's like the arrow in the FedEx truck. Once you see it, it's there forever. Oh. So my point is, with everything in the way it's been handled and how they've just continually built on their roster, on their merit, on their building stars and talent, WWE has turned NXT officially, I feel like, into a third brand, and we're going to see NXT no longer be the developmental that it's meant to be. It'll still be a little bit, but I think that's why they have the ID and LFG and all these things now.
Well, we got Evolve starting next week.
Exactly what I was going to get into. So I think I kind of want to cover the first Evolve episode as well. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll see what happens.
Probably won't do it a lot because
but
we're recording other stuff. But I'd like to see it.
But I would like to do it just once, just to see
there
the preview episode.
There is one sales pitch for Evolve that I got literally today.
Ooh, I think not the announcement of 2 new titles either. So.
Yeah, the titles are all right.
I think it's a great idea for them, for their own. Like, I thought they were going to add more stuff. Fine, you want people to something to chase. Whatever, great, love it. But they don't need any more than that. And really, I wouldn't even had titles in there. Give them just the dream of achieving. You're getting a contract should be enough. But I get why they have it. They need to build. So sure, let's see what they do with it.
But apparently on Evolve, I think you and I talked about this earlier today. Really, really awesome to hear that referee Jessica Carr is getting in the ring under a mask. I don't know how to pronounce the name. It's Calix.
Yeah, and that's Sol Ruka's real name, right?
That's really cool. Yeah.
Calix.
But it's one of those, like, everybody always says, like, if you're a fan of Corey Graves, like, oh, if he ever gets cleared again, I'd love to see him step away from that announce table and get back in the ring. And it's like, it's cool to see people make that step up. Like, Diamond Dallas Page at one point was driving the convertible for Honky Tonk Man, and then he got in the ring.
Yeah, so Sol Ruka's real name is Calix with a C, Calyx. Really? Yeah, go figure. But this with a K isn't tied to her. It's Jessica Carr. So she's been a referee since 2017, and she's the first female referee since Rita Chatterton got raped in the 80s. So good for her to be safe now.
And the thing is, too, like, if you follow Jessica Carr, like, I mean, there's only so much excitement to following a referee unless your name's Jimmy Corderas, who's fucking awesome.
Or unless you're going to go ahead and make it all about yourself.
Yeah.
Nay, nay, the horse says nay and eats its hay.
But no, like if you do follow Jessica Carr, like it's nothing extravagant, but she's just like super positive, like good vibes type person to follow, and it's just like one of those generically like I will watch you and see where you go.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I think it's super simple. Like it's one of those off the wall nice stories of oh my god, it's not oh my god, this is amazing. It's just like oh. That's neat. I might tune in and check that out.
Yeah, so
like that on that level.
I mean, they bought Evolve in 2020, so now they've released information about the Evolve tapings. So they're bringing in talent to perform on several shows for each taping. All shows occur at the Performance Center in Orlando, with a limited amount of fans allowed to observe the program live. No regular fans are allowed to watch tapings of Evolve, and only family and friends have been invited, with approximately 100 people in attendance. The limited amount of spectators is reportedly due to WWE wanting to keep results hidden to avoid spoilers from being leaked. So if anybody leaks anything, you're not coming back. and it's on the talent's ass. Good. That's how you make people, you're going to get me fired if you share stuff. So they have some WWID wrestlers who still compete on the indies, and they're also featuring NXT talent, it says as well. So it's going to be exciting. Cool. I'm looking forward. I definitely want to review the first episode. It's not live, but it is taped to live, so it'll be exciting to watch. And I'm really curious how it plays out. Does it impact the Dynamite ratings? I mean, that's something that really, realistically, it could be
Wednesday
true.
Night War.
I mean, we used to say, and they couldn't even, NXT was getting destroyed. Now they've beaten them for, what did we say, 18, 19 weeks in a row, and it's not by a small margin either. It's a couple 100,000 each time, and it's only getting broader.
The ever-growing differences between me and you and our watching habits and whatnot. The same as like you're watching stuff on USA or on the CW and I'm watching it on Netflix. Apparently, Evolve being on Tubi is only in the States.
Yes.
Everybody else is going to be watching it on YouTube.
Yeah, funny enough. So I might have to.
Earlier this year, when I was watching SmackDown on YouTube for that 1 week, they were testing it out. I'm pretty sure
the in between. Yeah, I think that was the plan. So hey, we can use Yield VPN, and I can come to your neck of the Maplewood, and we'll go ahead and see what happens. But yeah, overall, I'd give this solid show at like an 8.5. Certainly not quite a 9, but it was up there. What are your final thoughts, my friend? I know we got to get out of here. It's late enough as is. We chat as always for way too long.
I thought it was really good. Like, when you consider that it's, other than the location, it was technically just an episode of NXT. Like, it wasn't even the elevation of being something like a Roadblock or anything like that. So
yeah, no, it was by those
standards, it was pretty good. Obviously, they put some grabber type matches, like bringing in the Hardys and doing the crossover with Moose and all that sort of thing to sell the bigger venue and all that.
But everything had a purpose. They didn't just bring in the Hardys because they were in, North Carolina kind of idea. Like, there's a purpose for all of this, and that's what I'm appreciating. They're not doing the cheap pop where, look, we got, Luigi who's, making doughy pizzas while he wrestles this week. But, and then where the hell is...
I'm not going to lie.
Danhausen, Ben, very evil.
I'm not going to lie. Eventually, I want to see Santino walk into Tony D's restaurant.
I think that would be funny. The skits
I think
they
that
could
would be
have
funny
there
as hell,
would be hilarious. So, yeah, overall, I'm a really stellar episode of the week to week for NXT. They're doing a great job on always focusing on what's next, and that's been a complaint of mine with Dynamite for ages now. You never know what you're getting till the day of where they put out all the here's the tweets, but it's not. We're gonna get these matches. Well, that too, but usually it's just like unless it's a pre-planned title match. Most times it's these specials they have filled in, so you don't know till day of what you're getting, and it's going to be a bunch of decent matches, but there's no real stories for most of them. Sadly, or if it is there's nothing drawing you in.
Or what time is it coming on, or is it a regular episode of Collision or a pay-per-view, or how pissed off are the Australian fans?
How do we get our money back? Wait, what do you mean I have to pay twice as much to get a shittier seat? I'm telling you. So I will be live this Saturday.
Why did you build the ring out of Lego?
Exactly, and terrible cushion. Poor buddy's ankle. But like I said, I will be live without Spaz, unfortunately, because... He's going to be at the Chamber. That's right. He's going to be there. He's in the Dome. You're going to be rocking out in Toronto, my good friends. So you got SmackDown Live, and then you're going to the Chamber. You're going to be my official man on the inside. That's right. Spaz is going to be there deep in enemy territory. I'm not talking about the ladies' locker room. That's right. He's going to be in the last pod in the Chamber. That would be epic. Just see you get, beat up by Logan Paul. Oh, there we go.
Share a chamber with Roxanne Perez. It's fine. She'll
beat
the right height.
Shit out of you, but it'd be perfect.
Nice.
Give you pop rocks of a different nature. My friend,
Pop rocks in your mouth.
Tomorrow night we will be previewing the Elimination Chamber you will be at. We'll be covering as well a lot of news and rumors that leading up to the PLE and as well as going up until WrestleMania. I have some kind of exclusive stuff to talk to you about with The Rock, so you're not going to want to go ahead and miss this. Head over to the Spaz Phoenix YouTube channel. It's in the description box down below. Or you can go ahead. You don't have a chance to hear this whole review. You tuned in late and hey, we didn't get to catch the whole thing, well, you can go ahead and listen in audio form. Your drive to work, your drive home, go into the grocery store and don't want to hear all the assholes not knowing how to drive their shopping carts, put in your headphones, check out Spaz on every podcast surface imaginable, everywhere under the sun, from Rumble onwards. He's on Spotify, he's on Apple Podcasts, and you can listen to these Into Somewhere reviews that we do together, previews, reviews, all of it. So thank you, Spaz, for sharing the audio, and the podcast stays alive. I hope you guys hit the subscribe button, the like button. Let me know in the comments, please. What are you looking forward to the most this year with NXT as far as Roadblock and Stand and Deliver goes? What match do you absolutely 100% want to see go on? And if anybody, who do you want to see go to the main roster? Let me know. Give us talking points for the next show. You can find Spaz where, my friend?
Big deep breath. On YouTube, Spaz Phoenix Podcast. On Rumble, at Spaz Phoenix Podcast. On Spotify, at Spaz Phoenix Podcast. On iTunes, at Spaz Phoenix Podcast. I think I'm still on Amazon, at Spaz Phoenix Podcast. And if you want to follow my other ramblings, you can find me on Instagram and on X, at Spaz Phoenix. Or you can find me occasionally over here with my face all over your
my
stuff.
Friend. You nailed that, and that's right. So we'll have our chamber preview out in the next 24 hours or so on the Spaz Phoenix podcast channel. And then as well, we'll be live this weekend, as I said. We'll be live next week for the to-be premiere of WWE Evolve. And then I believe that weekend is also AEW Revolution. We won't have a preview for it, but I do want to have possibly a Drunk Into Somewhere stream where we would just heckle the shit out of it afterwards, give our nice little thoughts. Could be fun. So we'll have to see how the cards play. We'll discuss it. We'll see what comes of it. But like I said, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all manage to stay sexy. Have a great night as always, and thank you for hanging out.